something to you. I wanted to start with this, though. It's a good, this is a metaphor, right? Is that a metaphor? I don't know. You guys tell me after I tell you. Here it is. Wayne Dyer says this really beautiful thing. He says that if I squeeze an orange, what's going to come out every time? Orange juice. Will apple juice ever come out of an orange? No matter how hard I squeeze it, I will only ever get orange juice when I squeeze an orange, right? So what that means is, and so here's the metaphor. In my relationships, in all of my relationships, they will squeeze me. Right, Emily? They'll squeeze me. And then something will come out. And what I need to understand is what comes out was in me, not the person squeezing. Right? And so we become grateful to our partners, grateful to our friends, grateful to those individuals who squeeze us so that we are able to see what has been in there so that we can heal, so that we can grow. Okay, so this is Gary Zukav. Gary Zukav wrote a book, Seed of the Soul, and Gary Zukav is an amazing teacher, and he talks about how the work in life, the purpose of your life is to align your personality with your soul, so that you bring your personality and it becomes a servant to your soul, to your higher self, right? And he talks in this book about creating authentic power. And this is the way that I want to start the conversation about spiritual partnerships. This is a book about change. The biggest change possible or imaginable. Change bigger than the discovery of fire, bigger than the invention of the wheel, bigger than the origin of cultures, the birth of religions, the rise of nation states, and the impacts of science. It is bigger than anything that has come before, and so big that it is not possible to envision what could come after or when. This is a book about possibilities, experiences, insights, motivations, and creations beyond our ability to imagine only a few years ago, now called to us, beckoning us to new destinations and yet more new possibilities. All is new and fresh, like a blank page awaiting words, a canvas inviting the first brushstroke. In the past, others have glimpsed and sometimes explored these new possibilities, but now everyone is beginning to see or sense them. We have crossed a threshold and there is no turning back. There is no way to turn back. This is a book about power. The old kind of power, the ability to manipulate and control, now produces only violence and destruction. This is a real surprise because the old power enabled us and our ancestors to survive. Like good medicine suddenly turned bad, it is now poison. We used to take it to stay alive. Now we need to avoid it to stay healthy. A new kind of power, authentic power, has become the new good medicine, and we need it to become healthy, nurturing, and whole. Change, possibilities, and power that we could not have imagined are reshaping the entire human experiences. New values, goals, and intentions are everywhere, appearing like grass in the spring. This grass is growing quickly, and wherever it grows, beauty appears. With it comes fields of flowers and vast forests. A new and surprising world is emerging in new and surprising ways. We are all students in a school, explorers in a new territory, and pioneers in a new human experience. This unprecedented transformation in human experience has two parts. We can call them the gift and the work. The gift is happening automatically, so to speak. No one needs to do anything to make the gift happen. The gift is occurring in millions of individuals, and soon the gift will occur in all humans. The work is a different story. It requires choice. Specifically, you must choose to make the work happen, or it will not happen in you. Even if others choose to make the work happen in themselves, the work will not happen in you until you choose to make it happen. In short, 1, the gift is happening to everyone, or soon will, and there is nothing that you or anyone else can do about it. 2, the work is happening only to individuals who choose to make it happen in themselves. No one else can make it happen in them, and they cannot make it happen in anyone else. Don't you guys want to know what that is? What's the gift? What's the work? Okay, it's coming. Okay, let's give the gift and the work names. The gift is the expansion of human perception beyond what we can see, hear, taste, touch, and smell. It is a very big deal. The gift is seeing for yourself that the world is larger than you thought, much larger and also different than you could have imagined. Before the gift occurs, your perceptions of the world are confined to what your 5 senses tell you about it. After the gift occurs, your 5 senses continue to tell you about the world, and in addition, you experience more. The more is sometimes difficult to describe to individuals who have not experienced the gift, but actually, millions of individuals have already experienced the gift or are experiencing it and haven't realized it yet. The gift allows you to know things about others that your 5 senses cannot tell you. For example, that someone is going to call you just before she calls. That happens all the time with you, Mary. I just want you to know. That your daughter in another city has been in an accident, that your grandparent is passing on, that you should avoid driving until you check the brakes on your car, and so on. In other words, the gift involves intuition in a big way. The gift also allows you to experience yourself in new ways. For example, as more than your mind and your body. It reveals your life as purposeful and calls you to your purpose like water calls a thirsty man. The gift allows you to encounter meaning in unexpected ways. For example, a brief experience that everything is perfect, or a feeling of connection with a stranger. The gift allows you to see from an impersonal perspective. From that perspective, all of your experiences, even the most painful, serve your spiritual development and the spiritual development of those around you. They provide exactly what you need to develop the strength, compassion, and wisdom to give the gifts that you were born to give. The gift is an expanded awareness that includes not only the perceptual system of the 5 senses, but also a second system that detects intelligence, compassion, and wisdom that are real but not physical. This system allows you to experience non-physical reality in many ways, including those just mentioned. The gift is multi-sensory perception. The gift is multi-sensory perception. This is the great transformation in human consciousness that is currently emerging throughout the human species. Within a few generations, all human beings will be multi-sensory. I'm going to say it again because I love it. Within a few generations, all human beings will be multisensory. And then we don't have to feel so weird, y'all. They will experience not only the domain of space, time, matter, and duality that has been the totality of experience for most humans since the origin of humanity, but also non-physical domains and dynamics that affect us and that we affect. This brings us to the work. The work is bringing the new potential that comes with the gift into your life. Multisensory perception, the gift, changes your perception, but it does not change you. It shows you things that you could not see before, but it does not make you use your new knowledge. It illuminates dynamics that you could not see, dynamics that you can apply to change your life and world permanently for the better, but it does not require you to apply them. It's a choice. It reveals our creative power, but it does not make you create wisely. On the contrary, you will continue to create as you have in the past until you choose otherwise. If you are angry, for example, the gift, multisensory perception, will not make you less angry. It will also not create different consequences for you than acting with anger has created in the past. People will still avoid you, still be intimidated by you, still refuse to be vulnerable with you, and you will still be isolated, lonely, longing for meaningful relationships, and angry. That's the bad news. The good news. The work is experiencing and changing yourself, the interior sources of your painful emotions, such as anger, jealousy, vengefulness, and so on. Obsessive thoughts, such as judging others or yourself, longing for someone or something to change in your life, and so on. So here's the deal. So what does this have to do with spiritual partnerships, Gary Zukov? This is what it has to do with spiritual partnerships. That's what they're for. That's what relationships are for. That's it. They are for our growth. So they're not always there to make us feel better in the moment. In fact, sometimes a true partner, a true friend, a true partner will not make you feel better in the moment, because that might not be truly helpful. It might not be the thing that you need to grow to the next space. And so in a spiritual partnership, and the reason why I was inspired today to talk about spiritual partnership is because Mary is one of my spiritual partners. And Mary and I have a beautiful, amazing relationship. And I want to tell people about it because it is different than all the relationships that I had before it. And it has changed the relationships that I'm now entering into and creating. And part of it is that what we are using is our multisensory perception while we're interacting with each other. We're using more than what looks to be happening in the moment. We see a painful moment, and I'm going to talk about a painful moment for Mary because I have her permission to do so. I wouldn't have talked about it had she not given me that permission. But Mary had an amazing relationship with a man, with a spouse, and I had the beautiful pleasure of first crashing her wedding and then watching that relationship grow. I'll tell you that story later. I didn't know I had crashed it. I thought that I was invited and I wasn't. And I didn't. She had the good grace not to tell me about it until years later. But we're really glad that I got to go, and we know that I should have gone. So the invitation wasn't exactly in the mail, but it was happening. So she had an amazing relationship. In fact, if you had said to me, do you know a couple that you think have it figured out? Like the couple that you kind of would aspire to be, I would have looked and said, Mary and her husband. That was the couple. In fact, it wasn't just the couple for me. We had an entire group of friends who would have told you the same thing. They were a staple, a constant. And she had the very painful experience of a betrayal in that relationship, and then a very difficult time, a very difficult period of years that happened. When Mary called me, she called me the day that she had discovered this betrayal, and we had been out of touch for a period of a few years. And I had been on my own journey, and we hadn't connected. And it was purposeful. And I have said I'm sorry to her for being out of her life during that time. Because while it was purposeful and I know it had meaning for me, I also know that it had meaning for her, but that it was painful for her. That was painful for her not to have me. And so she called me when we'd been out of touch for a bit, maybe had talked a couple of times in that year, and told me this very, very painful thing. It was probably one of the worst moments that she's ever experienced. And she was in utter despair and pain when she called. And when she called, I felt internally that I had a choice, that I could commiserate with her, that I could tell her how sorry I was, and that he was a no good, and that she should be angry, very, very angry, and she had every right to stay angry for a really long time and commiserate with her, right? Or I could do a harder thing, and that was to say, Mary, this is purposeful. I'm gonna cry. And meaningful. And I know that you're hurting, and I want to take it away, but I also know I shouldn't. I also know that this is what's supposed to be happening. It's really hard to tell somebody you love that in that moment. It really is. Because I could feel it. I can feel it now. I'm tapping into it now. I'm literally, the reason why I'm crying is I'm tapping into that moment. It was palpable. I was in California. She was in South Carolina. I could feel how painful this was for her. And so began the next chapter in our existence together. A chapter that included daily, most of the time, conversations from across the country, of trying to show up for her in a truly helpful way. And sometimes there is a choice to appear to be helpful or to actually be helpful. And what she deserved from me was for me to be truly helpful, not to appear to be, right? And that's what we do in spiritual partnerships. That's what we do. And sometimes it means that we're uncomfortable. And sometimes it means that Mary says to me, I have to take a break for a minute from talking to you each day. And I go, I hear you. I'll be here. I'll be here. And so then we'll have a time where she knows that, but we understand. We understand that that's a part of the process. She understands that sometimes she can call me 5 different times, not on the same day, but over the course of days, weeks, call me 5 times, and not one of the times do I answer the phone. And she's okay with that. Because she knows that if I can answer the phone, I'll answer the phone. And she'll call me the 6th to see if I will. And she understands that if I don't answer the phone, it's because she's not supposed to talk to me about it. I understand if I call her and she doesn't answer, it means I'm not supposed to talk to her about it, right? I'm using that multisensory thing, that knowing, that trusting in the process of life, trusting that my trip to Arizona will be beautiful. So if I call and she doesn't answer, she's not supposed to, right? So we let each other off the hook in a big way too, right? I don't have requirements from her to be any certain thing. That's not a real partnership if I require her to be or do. Now listen, I have moments where I say, I really want you to do this, but you don't have to, and I won't make you. I said when she got here, what day was it? We were coming to meet with dear Lori, and I don't know what day it was. This has been that Friday. Okay, Friday, good. And I said, listen, I have to go meditate. This is what Connor said, y'all, in his Mother's Day thing. What makes my mom angry is when I interrupt her when she's meditating. I'm meditating! So I said to Mary, I'm going to meditate because I have to do it. We're going to get there, and I don't know what you're going to do. I know you've never met Lori, and you've never been in that building, but you'll figure it out. I'm going to go meditate, and I'll see you in a minute. You know, and you're invited, to meditate with me, which she did, by the way. You're invited and not required, right? You're invited to the drum circle and not required to go, right? And that is it. There is a beautiful balance to a spiritual partnership, and they happen because you choose to do it. You choose it. It's a gift. It's being given you, and you get to choose whether to participate or not. I'm going to leave you with one last thing, and that is that Lori shared something with me, and I knew it was purposeful, and I listened to it, and it was amazing. Brene Brown did a talk on trust. So do you remember
it's the anatomy
of trust. What a good word. Anatomy of trust. It's a beautiful 20-minute talk, and it really points to a lot of things that you must develop in order to have this kind of relationship. Anatomy of trust, right? Mm-hmm. And it's complex. I mean, there's 5 parts, y'all.
Yeah, how did she do it in 22
I don't know.
minutes?
She's
I don't know.
amazing.
Wow.
Can I get an amen? Love Renee. Okay, so that was that. And so this one I'm going to ask. Any question from Lori? Yeah, so Lori, okay. We've been on a little journey, and Lori and I and Mary met, and we talked, and we originally, this is like morphed into so many different things. Like Mary was going to be up here, and Lori was going to have us dress in our bathrobes and slippers and do a little skit where Mary was talking on the phone from South Carolina, and I was in Wisconsin, and we had like cute little things above our heads that showed you what state we're in. And then we were going to act it out. And then we thought, oh, no, okay, we'll have a discussion where Mary and I talk, and then she'll moderate and she'll ask questions. So this is more to so many different things, because really and truly I do think that part of the gift I have been given in this spiritual partnership is to teach it, is to talk about it, so that I can give the gift to others too. The kids are coming back whether we like it or not. Okay,